Hello, welcome to Jason the Old Millennial. My name is Jason, speaking to you here in my basement in the great state of Kansas. And today's video, I'm continuing my ranking every single Beatles song, which I am now into my top 20 favorite Beatles songs of all time, which is 20 of the greatest songs of all time. Let's just face it. These are absolutely amazing songs. Excited to get to it here, so see what they are here on Jason the Old Millennial. Hello, hope everybody's doing well here on a Monday late afternoon, at least for me in Kansas. And I'm continuing my series, of course, on the ranking every single Beatles song here, and I'm in my top 20. So man, these are just absolutely magnificent songs, some of the greatest of all time. These are songs that are definitely on playlists. Anytime I make a Beatles playlist, I have to put these on there. They're so good. Because you're talking about my favorite band of all time, so these are some of the 20 greatest songs of all time. So number 20, I'm going to do 5 in this time instead of 4. And so we'll go 20 through 16 on this one. And so at number 20, we got Across the Universe, which is a Lennon McCartney song, mostly a John Lennon written song. He lead sings it. It actually first came out as a single on a charity album called No One's Gonna Change Our World for the World Wildlife Fund was the charity. And this came out in 1969. So it first came out in 1969 as a single. And then it was put on the Let It Be album in 1970, the very last album to come out. So it's very end of their career here that John's writing this song. And of course, in the song Across the Universe, there's no one's gonna change my world. So it has that kind of that line in there that's connected to this charity album. But yeah, absolutely fantastic song. Of course, it's my number 20th favorite song of all time. Love John Lennon's vocals here. Love the guitar at the beginning. I think in the album, Phil Spector throws in some sound effects here. I think at the beginning, like some bird effects maybe. I think the single maybe is different. I think the single you can find on Past Masters Volume 2, I believe. But anyways, I mostly just listen to it on the Let Be album. And some people complain, of course, that Phil Spector, they don't like that Phil Spector puts in like extra stuff into the songs. And I'm sure it's on the Let It Be Naked, probably a different version as well. Maybe, I'm not sure. I haven't listened to that version lately. But anyways, yeah, it's an interesting song because I don't really make sense of what the song's about. It's very spacey, the song, I feel like. But somehow I still enjoy the lyrics. They flow very well together, even though it's very, I don't know, out there type lyrics, as John likes to do sometimes, almost poetic, I guess, I don't know, philosophic type lyrics anyways in here. But I love John Lennon's vocals. Love the acoustic guitar at the beginning, the dun 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 dun. Oh, just a magnificent beginning to the song. And I love when of course John goes into these like nonsensical words in the song. I'm not sure if they're mean anything, but I'm not even sure what they are, but it's like Shagaroo Dayu, nothing's gonna change my world. Like, oh, that part is so good. And it's just John and kind of the acoustic guitar mostly in the song, and it sounds so good. The melodies and the verses are just absolutely amazing. I think you do get some background vocals maybe from the other Beatles. Not a lot of the Beatles, mostly John on the song, but yeah, it's one of his best, one of my favorite John songs that he's done. They even made a whole musical called Across the Universe that used a lot of Beatle tunes in it, and their version of this is also pretty good. But yeah, so number 20, Across the Universe. Number 19 is one of my favorite rock songs from the Beatles, and I feel like I have it pretty high on my list, higher than most people. I feel like it's a very underrated song, but it's got one of the greatest guitar riffs I've ever in a Beatles song, and that is "And Your Bird Can Sing" at number 19 on my list. And like I said, this is not a song, I don't think, this comes off the Revolver album, by the way. It's a Lennon McCartney song. Revolver in the UK. In the US, it had to come on the Yesterday and Today album, if you're in the US at that time. Late 60s period. Anyways, and it's just that guitar riff, that it's just really what drives that song. And throughout, even in the background, you can hear that guitar going through the riff. Uh, and then John's just so good. And when they come together in the chorus, and they all kind of harmonize, tell me anything you want, and your bird can sing, but you can't see me. That whole part, oh, so good. The harmonies, the vocals, and I just love that guitar and the whole song. Even there's a middle part, kind of. It's not a very long song. It's kind of a short song, but there's a great middle part with just that guitar, and it does a lot of cool stuff. Like it does these cool moments, and it's just funny. This is a song that I really didn't really know that much growing up. It wasn't a song I really went to. It wasn't until I got Beatles Rock Band on my when I had a Wii video game system, and I had Beatles Rock Band on it, and I absolutely loved that game. I played it constantly. I loved playing through all the songs on there, and it was really there that I kind of came across And Your Bird Can Sing, and I was like, man, this is absolutely amazing. Like, why have I not really, pay attention to the song? And that's where it really kind of started getting my mind. And the more I listened to it, the more I just absolutely love the song. It's one of my favorite all through Revolver album, which is my favorite album, by the way. So many great rock songs on the album, and this is definitely one of them. Yeah, like I said, yeah, absolutely amazing. Great rock song at number 19. I should say, I've heard the story. I don't know if it's confirmed, but they say the story is about, I think it's Marianne Faithfull or something like that. It's who was Mick Jagger's girlfriend at the time. And so And Your Bird Can Sing, bird mean girl, and mean Marianne Faithfull was a singer. And so it was almost a dig at Mick Jagger, I think. That's what I've heard. I don't know if that's true. I haven't really read that to be absolutely true. I don't know if it's a rumor, but it could be. Who knows? It's an interesting idea that they have a friendly rival against the Rolling Stones, so they're making a dig at Mick Jagger's girlfriend, Marianne Faithfull. Anyways, in that way. So yeah, that's just another interesting tidbit there. But yeah, number 19 on my list, And Your Bird Can Sing. Number 18, probably the greatest psychedelic rock song of the Beatles and of all time, and that is Tomorrow Never Knows, which closes out the Revolver album. Again, Revolver, amazing album, and this is a lot of people's favorite song on the album. It's not my favorite, but it's definitely very high up there. Of course, number 18 on my list of all time. Great closer. I mean, absolutely amazing, and something it's not like anything you've ever heard before up to that point with the Beatles. I mean, they're definitely Revolver. They're very psychedelic. One of probably the great psychedelic album of all time. It's a Lennon McCartney song. It's mostly Lennon. The words come from a Timothy Leary book called The Psychedelic Experience. Obviously, Lennon taking a lot of drugs, and he's reading these. And he loves to read. He reads a lot of books. And Timothy Leary, I think, is known for drugs, if I remember right, and acid and all that. But he wrote this book, Psychedelic Experience, which is actually a poetic reinterpretation of the ancient Tibetan Book of the Dead. Yeah. So they took an old ancient book called the Tibetan Book of the Dead, and he reinterpreted it to more of a hippie experience. Anyways, of course, John Lennon, being a kind of a hippie himself, really took, I guess, this book and took the words and came up with this Tomorrow Never Knows, which Tomorrow Never Knows, interesting title because it's not in the song. Tomorrow Never Knows doesn't mean anything. And I know I've heard them say that John Lennon did that because he thought the song was kind of a heavy, lyrically it was very heavy, and so he didn't want to give it a very heavy, serious name. So he kind of gave it a nonsensical name that didn't mean anything, and so he gave it Tomorrow Never Knows. Anyway, so it's an interesting kind of name that he came up with it. Anyways, it's just an interesting song because that it's kind of almost like one note throughout the whole song, and Lennon singing over it. But I love the drumming. Drumming is absolutely amazing. There's all these like cool drum beats in there. And John Lennon, they gave him kind of a effect because he wanted to sound like he was singing on top of, I think, a mountain or something like that. He wanted to have this effect of his voice sounding like it was distant. So they did something to that. So his voice is a little bit different on the album, and on the song, and it works perfectly. I think originally he wanted to hang upside down, and they wanted to swing him back and forth as he sang on the mic. I don't think they eventually did that, but I think that was like an idea John had to make it sound like he was singing from a distance. So a lot of experimentation in the studio going for this song. But John Lennon's voice so good on here, and what really makes it just all the sound effects. I mean, they really put a lot into all these different backward guitar stuff, and it sounds so cool the way they edited it in there. And there's these others. Paul McCartney was known for like he loved recording sounds and then mixing them and making them kind of weird sounds. And I don't know what it is, I can't remember, but there's a certain sound in there that it sounds like seagulls. Like he goes, rah, 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 rah. It's like the seagull sound. I'm not doing a good version of it, but I forget, some kind of instrument that he plays and does something with, and it's a very cool sound. It's like, oh my gosh, what is that? But yeah, when you hear it first time, you're just blown away. And every time I play with the song for somebody that doesn't know the Beatles very well, they're always kind of like, what is this? Because it's not something you ever expect from She Loves You and I Want to Hold Your Hand, and then you listen to Tomorrow Never Knows, and it feels like a completely different band, which is what was so great about the Beatles, how they changed their sound from the 1963 to now 1966 even. There's only 3 years from their very first album, and they're already just changing their sound to kind of fit the times with the psychedelic period coming in, and also setting trends basically with what they're doing. But yeah, all the sounds are just absolutely amazing in here, and yeah, I don't know, it's just a great use of editing, using sounds and backward guitars, and John just killing it on the vocals and what they do with his voice there. Yeah, it totally changed the game to me as far as the Beatles and as far as music goes. It's an amazing song here, number 18, Tomorrow Never Knows. Let's turn my page here. All right, we go number 17. One of the best duo songs on here, and this is the song Two of Us, which is the opener to Let It Be. Lennon McCartney song. It's mostly a Paul McCartney song that he wrote. And it's just a wonderful acoustic guitar. It's like two acoustic guitars going, playing different things at once. It's Paul and John, I believe, playing acoustic guitars, and it's basically just a duet between them two. And man, it just shows. It's funny, this is the last album, Let It Be, coming out, and we still get those great they still show you why they're the greatest of all time, in my opinion. Those harmonies are so just spot on, perfect. And it's like, that's what they did at the very beginning. They kind of went away with it towards the late 60s. They kind of broke away a little bit, made it more almost solo type songs where they didn't really seem like they sang in harmony as much. But then you get this song, it's like, oh man, they still just are so good on harmonies, and it really makes the song, the acoustic guitars and the harmonies are just, that's what really makes the song absolutely fantastic. And it's a great opener to the Let It Be, and I almost would say it's a bit of an underrated song. It's not one of the bigger known songs, but one of my favorite here. And Paul wrote it because he was out driving with Linda. They might have been married at this time, I'm sure, yeah. And he was driving out, they were just driving on the roads, and they stopped somewhere, and he kind of just came up with the song with Two of Us, meaning him and Linda. So that's where he kind of stopped and kind of wrote this song down, or kind of, I forget, or wrote it down in his head anyways, and kind of kept it for later. But that's where he came up with the idea for the song. But it's interesting because it's him. It could almost mean him and John too, because it feels like this is the swan song for John and Paul. This is the last album they're going to do together before the Beatles break up and part ways, and basically and go their own. They had a bit of a fallout and all that. So it's a great song to think. When I hear the song, I think about John and Paul. The greatest duo of all time, great singing and songwriting duo. And so I absolutely love when I hear the song and hearing those two sing together, just like it should be. So number 17 is Two of Us. All right, then the last song I'm going to talk about, number 16 on my list, is from the album Help, and another great acoustic song from John Lennon, and it is You've Got to Hide Your Love Away, which, I don't know, that might seem like a little high for most people, but absolutely love the song. It's a Lennon McCartney song, mostly it's a John singing song. And it was inspired by, you really see, like, when I look at, from, like I said, Please Please Me, the very first album, to Help, definitely is a little bit of a change when you get to Help, where they definitely were influenced by Bob Dylan, and even they said, John Lennon said, like, this was influenced by Bob Dylan, basically, type song. And yeah, when you listen to the Help, the album Help, this song more than any other song, I think, really feels like a Bob Dylan song. This feels like a song Bob Dylan could have written and sang himself. It seems like they're starting to go a little bit, the writing's getting a little bit better, and they're getting away from just saying, I love you, she loves me, all these, more relationship type songs, even though it feels like the song deals with maybe breakup and having to hide away from, your feelings and stuff like that. So it does have some of that in there, but yeah, it seems a little more mature style of writing that they've done before. Of course, you also have like Yesterday on that album, which is another very, good song kind of dealing with that situation. But I absolutely love the acoustic guitar on this song. The way it goes, dun 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 dun, hey, like, I absolutely love that when it goes from that verse to the chorus, and with that, hey, you've got to hide your love. And John's vocals, absolutely amazing. He's really putting the passion into it. You really feel that he's really feeling the song, which is what makes, singers so good, is when you really feel the emotions behind it. And he really puts it in that when he goes to, hey, you've got to, like, so good. Even lyrically, I love the, stand around all you clowns and hear me sing, let me hear you sing, how could she say to me, love will find a way. Just lyrically, how it flows is so good. Like I said, just the acoustic guitar and his vocals are just absolutely amazing throughout the whole song. And there's even like a flute solo, I want to say, some kind of solo in there that they throw in, which they didn't throw a lot of those in until Help. I think they started throwing in some more instruments and doing more in the studio than they did before. So it's a nice little, like a little flute solo or whatever towards the end of the song, actually, and ends the song. But yeah, just really beautiful song, and just beautifully sung by John, I think. What it's exactly about, I didn't read that we know exactly what it's about. A lot of people like to associate it with Brian Epstein, their manager, because he was a closeted, homosexual. And a lot of times I've seen like this song played with pictures of him. I don't know if that's what John was writing about. I didn't read that was confirmed, but it makes sense. It could be, that would be something to write about, someone that, literally did have to hide their love away because of who they are, who they were anyway. So that's an interesting idea behind it. I don't know if that's true or not. It could just be a breakup and try and hide away your feelings and be secluded, because you're depressed and all that. It does sound like the character from the story, and it's John writing this, so it could be him from experience, is feeling some depression from, something like that. Anyways, but yeah, absolutely great song. Number 16, You've Got to Hide Your Love Away. All right, so that's my 20 through 16 on my list. Please feel free to comment. What do you think about these songs? Are they some of your favorites? Would you put them higher or lower? What would be your ranking? As I know Adam from What the Gym ranks along with me. I appreciate that. Yeah, but I'd love to read any comments. What do you think about these songs and where they belong? And yeah, so thank you to everybody for watching this video. Thank you for liking it. And thank you to all my subscribers for supporting the channel. I appreciate you all, and I hope you have a good day.